Welcome to the fourth day of Chicago Grit. This is the Mundelein Criterium. See a little start into a left-hander, and this is a technical course. Pretty fun and very grippy. Super hard. You've got to position well. You've got to corner well, and yeah, you've got to be on top of it all day because it gets strung out and then gaps open. And starting kind of far back in the field, I want to move up, and I'm gonna have to move up as fast as I can. But we're coming through the first lap. You can see Marcos Mendez on the right there in the top positions of the Omnium, I believe. He had 1 or 2 days where I think they like missed a result, but you can see he's on rim brakes too, which is pretty fascinating. He's been doing a lot of races this year and exceeding them on rim brakes. We're going to keep rolling through this lap. We just made it through that roundabout, and then this really open, grippy, bumpy Chicago suburb road in Mundelein. And right here we have the Austin Outlaws, Lucas Burgoyne. They're moving to the back, which is an interesting decision to take it easy in this race, because this race is pretty hard and is often a bunch sprint, like a reduced bunch sprint. A lot of people get dropped from this race just because it's so technical and demanding as far as endurance goes. And I actually rode to this race. I did like an hour and a half before from the host house and was pretty panicked. I almost missed it. We get through this second corner here. I'm on Mendez's wheel, and the VFR guy checks up. Mendez takes an alternate route and avoids any calamity, but I thought that was pretty entertaining. A little bit later on, James Gardner from MitoQ sends an attack. I believe he's got a foundation guy on his wheel there, and I'm scared of that. He's been riding pretty strong. Rode really strong at West Dundee, which is like a hill climb course, and Josh Burnett there on the outside would let that gap open, so I hit it pretty hard out of that last corner, trying to pull it back, maybe make a split. And quickly I have guys on my wheel. See Clever Martinez there with the GoPro on his helmet, capturing some assumedly fantastic footage, because that is an awesome spot, a ballsy spot to mount a camera. But we end up catching those guys a little bit later. And more attacks. Josh Burnett, who was on the front there, got a little free ride for a lap and sends a pretty hard attack with 54 minutes left to go in this race, and it's getting hard. It's I'm at the front, which is the easy spot, but I'm still pretty gassed on Claver's wheel here, and you can see a big split forming off the front there. Groups of 4 to 5 guys were just making it off the front, and then dudes on the front like this MitoQ guy here would just sit up, let a gap open, and then such a technical tight course, there's really only one line that you can maintain momentum, and like this Ribble guy would have to pull it back a little bit later on that lap, and Marcos Mendez sends it across to this group of probably 7 guys now, and then Fergus Arthur makes it, another guy from MitoQ, and Ryan Gorman, Richard Holick, all making it across, bunch of hitters. Ben Oliver's already up there. There's already 2 MitoQ guys up there. It's a big group. There's like 12 guys. Toronto Hustle made it up there with Chris and Sam. So most of the big sprinters are up there, and everybody else has a teammate in the move. And you can see ABC, all these different riders are just letting the gap go. I should have been on it here, but had already done a little bit of work a few laps prior, and so I was trying to recover from him, and thought this break might have been a little too big to go, but noticed quickly that it was indeed going. So I sent a move a little bit later, trying to bridge across. You can see we're actually still pretty close to this breakaway, and I'm thinking we're gonna make it. Like they're pretty strung out. They're going fast, but there's that little chase group, and we're 5 seconds less from this chase group. I've got Clever Martinez on my wheel at the moment, I believe, and then probably 2 other guys. Ulysses and his team had a guy up there, and we just ended up like staying in the group. A little bit later on, Luke Fetzer from Outlaws, who they all missed it. He would set a pretty heavy pace, open this gap, and then the four of us would just kind of like roll off the front, probably for 5 laps. I don't know. It was pretty hard. Once Luke pulled off, the other two guys, Claver and this other guy from Ulysses' team, were being a little cagey. We were all probably a little cracked. And this MitoQ guy being cagey too, he's got 3 guys up in the front, so there's no reason for him to pull stuff back. I dropped my chain there, trying to attack across this gap, and the gap is still pretty short. It's like 5-10 seconds. I hit a bump pretty hard, and my chain fell off the front ring, which was a little nerving, but later on, we get caught. 26 minutes ago, we've just been caught, and the Outlaws are on the front, trying to pull everything back together. There's maybe a 30-second gap, but it's not unbridgeable with 25 minutes to go in this race. So I'm thinking I'm going to jump on the front, keep the pace a little bit high, and hopefully we can bring this gap back. If that front group sits up, it's a huge group, so if it sits up for a while, it might just come back. But we're trying to fight for a little better positions here. Eventually, 7 minutes ago, the break caught us. They lapped the field. And so they're all filtering up through, and we're trying to send attacks off the front when maybe no one is expecting that to happen, when everybody's sitting up, accepting that we're racing for 13th, 14th. And once the break does catch, actually, Richard Holick sent a pretty strong attack and went solo for a few laps. I think ABC would eventually pull him back in, and I think with like 2-3 laps to go, he would just like get back into the group. The MitoQ team was rolling the front pretty hard for the last like 5 minutes, keeping the pace high. Some other groups keeping the pace high too. Claver and his teammate Marcos, who had lapped the field, were also rolling up towards the front, keeping each other safe on this HydroPro team, the old Rockland development team, and you see Lucas Burgoyne on the inside there on this last lap, coming into the roundabout for the last time. At this point, if you haven't moved up in position, it's pretty hard to make up any spots. It's so tight on the back section you might be able to, but you're going to burn a match because everybody is going to be sprinting on that section as well. The sprint is pretty much a sprint into the last corner and then a sprint out of that, and there's not a lot of movement that happens on that last section unless you like lose momentum to the last corner, which, spoiler alert, that is exactly what I'm going to do. Here we are sprinting out of that roundabout, trying to get position up. Some guys are staying up a little bit more, but it's pretty full beans at this point into the last few corners. I had a little bit too much momentum into this and ended up like checking up right here. Lost a little momentum hitting the brakes, and a little gap into that. Some other guys would come around me. I ended up getting 18th. Marcos Mendez taking the win and possibly the overall jersey. It might be Richard Holick. It's definitely in the top 3 there, but Marcos Mendez with the win on this day, and Lucas Burgoyne I think would fall out of the jersey possibly. We'll see today in this next and 5th day of Chicago Grit. Thanks for watching. See ya.